Hello guys, I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got another video for you. Today is going to be about an experience that me and the family had moving to Canada, and I'm going to link it to some scripture that should all hopefully make sense. Hopefully this video convicts you in some way. Hopefully this video changes your perspective or gives you another perspective for the better. Hopefully this video makes you draw nearer to God, most importantly. So, that being said, by the way, if you hear a dog like yelping and screaming, it's because it's not my dog. The couple upstairs, they've got a dog, and they've left the house, and this dog has separation anxiety, so yeah. It's just the dog's a little bit upset that its owners are at the house. But anyway, so let me start by saying me and the family, obviously, as you know, me and my brother are in Canada right now. We moved from the UK. The family have been planning this for a couple of years. There's multiple reasons that we've decided to move to the UK. Maybe I'll make a separate video about why we moved. Did I say to the UK? To Canada. Maybe I'll make a separate video about why we moved from the UK to Canada, but you know, where I go more in detail, I don't know, maybe in future. But for the purpose of the video, I'm going to keep this part short, because the main part is the scripture. So long story short, we come here, and in my mind I had a very positive mindset. You know, I was excited to experience new culture, have a clean slate at life. I'm young, I'm 21. You know, no one's gonna know me for how I was back in school. No one's gonna know me for my failures or mistakes that I made. I get a clean slate, get to meet new people, you know, hopefully start a good career out here, and you know, I was of the mindset that life's gonna be great, you know, as soon as I get to Canada. Essentially, how the Israelites viewed the Promised Land. Now I'm going to get onto the scripture in a little bit. Now, essentially, me and the family, we touched down, me, my dad, my brother. We touched down, we get to our Airbnb. Bearing in mind, we didn't sort out permanent accommodation before we came to Canada from the UK. We booked an Airbnb for a couple of weeks with the idea that in that couple of weeks we're going to find a permanent place to stay. So we come here, we get to the Airbnb, get in there. There was a little bit of trouble getting in, you know. The landlord, or whatever you want to call the person in charge of the Airbnb, gave us the wrong code to get in, so we were waiting outside for a little bit, but we got on the phone to them. We got in, put our bags down. So everything seems to be okay. Slowly over the next day or two, we start to realize the kind of area we're in. Very rough. Lots of homeless, lots of sort of drug addicts shooting up around the corner. Saw this very dodgy gangster looking group. One was with a gun, he had a revolver, open carry, just in the street. Lots of people high, and just, you know, horrible stuff to see, right? And me and the family are not used to that kind of stuff, and obviously it's quite a rough area where we landed. And as I just told you, I came to Canada with the mindset that this is going to be like the Promised Land, and everything's going to be fine, sweet roses. And it was nothing like that from what I first saw, right? And it was either my brother or my dad, I can't remember which one of them it was, but they said a scripture that really hit me, and it really motivated us and riled us up to be positive and believe in the Lord. And the scripture, or scriptures that they mentioned, it's part of Numbers chapter 14 and 13, where so the Israelites get to the promised land, and Moses, Joshua, Aaron, they're all there, and they send scouts to go into Canaan, the promised land. And the scouts come back, and Joshua and Aaron were with the scouts going out there. And they come back, and they say to the Israelites, you know, there's Nephilim there. You know, it's not looking good, essentially. You know, there's some bad stuff going on in Canaan. And so the congregation are in uproar. It says in chapter 14, verse 1, and all the congregation cried out with a loud voice, and they wept that night. Verse 2, all the Israelites grumbled and deplored their situation, accusing Moses and Aaron, to whom the whole congregation said, would that we had died in Egypt, or that we had died in this wilderness. Why does the Lord bring us to the land to fall by the sword? Our wives and little ones will be prey. Is it not better for us to return to Egypt? Essentially, they're complaining. They're like, this is a horrible place. Why have you led us here? We're gonna die here. Wouldn't it have just been better for us to have just died in the wilderness or stayed in Egypt? In the next verses, they say, and they said to one another, let us choose a captain and return to Egypt. Essentially, they're thinking of, oh man, why don't we just choose another leader instead of Moses to lead us back to Egypt, right? So there's lots of panic and uproar between the Israelites. And then so from verse 5, chapter 14, verse 5 in Numbers. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the assembly of the Israelites. And Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of, I don't know how to say that name, Jephunneh? I'm just going to say Caleb, son of Jay, who were among the scouts who had searched the land, rent their clothes. And they said to all the company of Israelites, the land through which we passed as scouts is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, and a land flowing with milk and honey. You know, good things. Only do not rebel against the Lord, neither fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense and their shadow of their protection is removed over them. But the Lord is with us. Fear them not. And so when I heard the scripture, you know, I couldn't help but feel peace, you know, and relief, essentially. You know, I was in a bit of a state of panic, you know. I was thinking, man, why did we leave the UK to come here? What's going on? You know, it's a very rough area. It looks very dangerous, very ghetto. We're struggling to, you know, we've only given ourselves like 2-3 weeks to find permanent accommodation. My brother's struggling to get a hold of his college, you know, to get on the course that starts within a month's time. You know, we're in panic and well, at least I was. I don't know how, you know. My brother and my dad were a bit stoic with it, you know. They didn't seem to show too much. I mean, they showed a bit of panic, but not too much. But, you know, essentially I was like the Israelites. But I heard the scripture, and it just gave me faith in the Lord, that he has brought us here for a reason. You know, there is good things in the land. I started to look at the good things out here in Canada, in the area we're at. And before we knew it, my brother, he's in college now, got in his course successfully. We're set up with SIN numbers, bank accounts. We've got accommodation now. My dad's returned back to the UK safely. I've got a job now. Everything came together. We had faith. We prayed about it. Praying every day for these things, you know, and just trusting in the Lord. And I just thought I'd let you guys know about this little story, this little, experience in my life that me and the family went through, in hope to encourage you to continue in your faith, drawing near to God. There might be some of you watching where you've reached your promised land and it's not looking like a promised land. It's not looking how you thought it was going to look. But just continue to believe and persevere, because the Lord has plans to prosper you. Yeah. It says in the Bible, he works out all things, all things, oh my goodness. He makes all things good for those, oh my goodness, I'm fumbling this. I'm going to cut that. It says in the Bible that, he doesn't forsake the righteous. He works all things good for those that love him. He's almighty, all-knowing, and quite often we don't see what is in store that is good. We start to panic because we don't see or hear or whatever, but we remember that we walk by faith and not by sight. And so I'm going to leave that there with you. I hope this has helped you. I hope this has given you a different perspective on perhaps the situation that you might be going through. And I hope that it's only just increased your faith in the Lord. He doesn't forsake the righteous. Continue to believe in him, stay strong, pray, fast, read the Bible, worship him, have fellowship with church and other saints. Double down on the Lord and have unwavering faith. So that being said, I hope this helped you. God bless you. I'll see you in the next one.